Why do so many estate agents make such poor bosses? Today I'm joined by Rob Graves, ex-estate agent, now an estate agency coach. Rob, why are so many estate agents, why do they make such poor bosses? They make such great agents, but they can't run a business for toffee. Talk to me.
So it's not just about what I'm saying really, Chris, is that running a business is a different skill set to being a great estate agent. And it's probably the other similar one is when you get to the best salesman.
Well, the best listers and branch managers. How many times? I know you used to be an area director for the big, large firm out there. I'm sure you came across the great lister, don't make a great branch manager.
Yeah, made that mistake, employed the killer salesman, made them a manager, and it didn't work. It's a different skill set. And that's very much the same with being a really good estate agent and then running a business. Running a business is a different skill set.
I mean, if you think about it, we've got some great self-employed estate agents out there.
Yes.
They're having to run their own businesses and really getting their fingers burnt, aren't they? I'm hearing on the grapevine.
Yes. So, yeah, there's a lot going on regarding that at the moment. But I do think that people need to know before they get into it that it's not just about being a great estate agent. They need to understand they've got a whole new set of skills that they need to learn and work on.
Okay, through your experience over the decades, what should either great listers do, or what should branch managers be doing before they transition to starting their own estate agency?
I would recommend that they do some research into running a business. I would highly recommend, I mean, there's plenty out there nowadays from business consultants to get a really good idea.
And there's plenty of stuff on YouTube, and it's like a university, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you do plenty of stuff about this sort of thing, don't you?
So, but again, what are the biggest mistakes agents normally make then? Let's give some value to the ladies and gentlemen out there.
Yeah, so I think probably one of the most important things is investing some of your time needs to be working on the business as well as in the business.
What does that exactly mean? Because there's plenty, it's very easy for you to say that.
Yep, it is. So a business is almost like an entity itself, and you need to, in the same way that you look after yourself, one of the talk is, isn't it, about making sure you get yourself in the right place to be able to do it. But the business is an entity that needs that same investment. You need to spend a bit of time thinking about how you run a business, what your business is going to stand for, what you need to do, what are the processes and procedures that you're going to put in place to maximize profits, returns.
Okay, that does sound really good and a bit airy-fairy.
Okay.
Which are important.
Yeah.
Okay. But grit, is this like ruling half a day out? Let's get down to brass tacks here.
Yeah, so I reckon you probably need to at least spend a day a month working on your business. I think you probably need to spend an hour a week working on some of your processes. So one of the things when I did when I ran a business is I would take one process, I'd get my team together and would sit down and would make that process better. Whether it was a viewing, whether it was an offer process, whatever bit of the process we picked, we'd take it, and for an hour, my team and I would work together to say, how do we make this bit of process better? And at the end of 52 weeks of doing that, most of your processes and procedures are just in a different level. But you have to invest that time and effort into actually looking at how the business works.
So it's not about spending money, it's about putting hard work in and brain power into actually getting it done.
Yeah, taking that moment to step away and actually take a look at it and think about it, I think is really important, especially when you're in the blood and the bullets of it every day. It's so easy to get caught chasing the next sale, the next deal, rather than putting the investment in that makes the next deal easier.
Or the one in 6 months, 12 months.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to anyone, you've got a few miles under your belt, we've all got a bit of grey hair. What advice would you give to someone with the playing of the classic long game? And you said what on the business, I think the next one is playing the long game, the patience game.
Yeah, it is. It's so when I was younger, I found that particularly hard. But yes, now I'm, as you say, have a few grey hairs and have been around the block a bit. You can see those investments are so important. And I think the long game is also understanding that if you're going to start a business, the reality is by about year 2 or 3, it starts to pay off. If you think it's going to pay off in the first 12 months, I think you're asking a lot. And
You are. It's interesting. I was talking to an agent from London this morning, and he on the call we talked about in the earlier call about there's no quick wins, and then 10 minutes later he was asking me, I need some quick wins.
Yeah.
And there's a classic paradox.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to any valuers wanting to go into branch managership? So not actually their own business, but being a branch manager, it is kind of your own business.
It is. I guess you're talking there about those management skills and about working with people. And again, there's so much information out there. And one of the great things about today is there is lots out there telling you lots of information. So management is probably key and about how you deal with that. But I think you also have to find your own style. You have to find what works for you. And you've got this sort of extreme of being too hard and too demanding. And on the other side of that, you've got this extreme of being too soft and not pushing.
Where do you think most people lie? I mean, I've got my opinions, but I want yours first. On too hard or too soft?
I think they're probably too soft.
Okay, and what advice would you give to someone how to be a bit tougher? Because a lot of people don't like confrontation, do they?
No, but actually to be truly kind, as long as you've got the right motivation and you're doing it for the right reasons, it's easier to do. And my other top tip is put a big smile on your face while you're doing it, and you can get away with murder.
Thank you for your time today, Rob.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, Chris.